Okay, this one is on 32.6. We have a number of story problems in this section. They all have different scenarios. And with each one, you're going to want to choose your weapon. You can either solve for the missing number by factoring, you can use the quadratic formula, or you can do completing the square. Not all things can be factored, so that's kind of pick and choose when you use factoring based on how easy it would be to factor it. But I think pretty much everything can be done using the quadratic formula. That's usually most people's favorite. And most anything can be done by completing the square also. So we want to do that. Well, one of the first problems we're looking at is we have a waterfall that has a height of 900 feet, and they said they're going to throw a pebble up from the top of the falls. So, kind of get a vision of it here. Here's the waterfall, splashing water here. This is 900 feet high. And somebody's standing up here, and they're going to throw a pebble up. And then it's going to come down. And so the problem goes on to talk about with an initial velocity of 12 feet per second, and the h is the height of the pebble after t seconds. They give you a lot of explanation for these numbers, but essentially they give you the equation that says h equals negative 16t squared plus 12t plus 900. And so, see, they talked about initial velocity of 12, they talked about a height of 900. So that's where those, threw it up at, 12 feet per second. They just wanted you to know where they got these numbers when they gave you the formula. So the height of the object, in the problem it says, is the height of the object when, at any time. So if we're saying how much time did it take for this thing to hit the ground, we're saying when was it hitting ground zero, meaning when the height was 0. If it's on the ground, it has no height. So we would put 0 in for h, and then we would, put that a t. And now this is the problem we have, and we can decide, are we going to factor it? Are we going to use the quadratic formula? Are we going to complete the square? And quadratic formula is probably my favorite. So you take the opposite of b, which is 12, so we're going to do negative 12, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which means it's 12 squared, minus 4 times a, which is negative 16, times c, which is 900. And then all of that over 2 times a, which is 2 times negative 16, So if we work this out, we're going to go inside the radical first. We're going to follow the order of operations. So we're going to do what, our squared part, so that's 144. And then it's negative 4 times negative 16 times 900. So it gives us 57,600. And it's positive because you had a negative times a negative here. So it's positive 57,600. And then we'll add those together, plus 144. So we want to know the square root of 57,744. So I'm just going to rewrite that part right now so you can see it a little more clearly. The square root of 57,744 over, and I'll just complete this part, negative 32. All right, so let's find out what this is. We'll do the square root of that number, and it comes out to, I said to round to 1 decimal place as needed. I would do that at the end. I'm going to give it a few more than that to be a little bit more accurate. So if I said, and actually I could put the whole thing in my calculator, but negative 12 plus or minus 240.2998 divided by negative 32. So I'm going to do it both ways. Negative 12 plus 240.2998 divided by negative 32. And I'm going to do negative 12 minus 240.2998 divided by negative 32 and see what answers I come up with. And make sure that you do this part and hit equals before you do divide by negative 32. Because if you put it in your calculator just like this, negative 12 plus 240.2998 divided by negative 32, it's going to follow the order of operations, and it's only going to do this part first. And then it'll subtract it from 12, and we don't want that to happen. We want this part up here to be done first. So make sure you do that. And then divide by negative 32. So this becomes negative 7, is it to one decimal place? Yes. So negative 7.1. Now this is saying negative 7.1 seconds because we were looking for how many seconds till it hit the ground. Well, you can't go backwards in time, so this is definitely not going to be the answer. Let's try the other way. Negative 12 minus 240.2998 over negative 32. So I'm going to put that one in my calculator again. Put this part in parentheses, or just do that part and hit enter before you divide. So negative 12 minus it's 7.9. There we go. That's a positive 7.9. Well, yes, it can be 7.9 seconds, no problem.